And open just in case we go. All
It's gonna
right.
be just gonna be you and me.
It'll just be you and me.
Okay.
I thought it would just probably be easier for the conversation just to have the two of us. We're a bit of a rowdy bunch, us South Africans. And so thank you so much, Kim, for meeting with me. We're absolutely honored. I think especially after a weekend where I got to watch the movie twice, which was fantastic. So thank you so much for that. We really, really do appreciate it.
Oh, you're very
And
welcome.
really just such a huge congratulations on such a masterpiece. So really, really, I mean, as a homeopath, when you watch something that isn't you or a colleague motivating for the profession, it just ignites your spirit, to know that other people feel the same. So
Sure.
thank you so much for that. So I thought, so what we did was we basically reached out to everyone who watched the movie and said, if you could speak to the producers, what type of things would you ask? And one of the big things that our viewers were really interested in is what is your connection to homeopathy, and what made you choose homeopathy as sort of a topic for this movie?
Well, I'm a practicing homeopath. Are you aware of that?
No, no.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've been practicing homeopathy for almost 40 years now.
Aha.
And I've taught all over the world, and I have an online website called Whole Health Now that has thousands of hours of courses in homeopathy.
Oh, wow. Okay, now it makes sense.
Yeah, and I just felt that homeopathy has given me so much in my life that I needed to give something back to our profession. And so I decided to embark on this project a few years ago to make a film about homeopathy. And it's not that there weren't other films out there about homeopathy, obviously there are, but the approach that those other films took was more of a controversial, polarizing approach where you'd have skeptics
Yes,
and advocates. And
yes.
we felt, well, Big Pharma has enough of a voice out there. We don't need to give them a voice in our film. So we simply talked about all of the amazing benefits that homeopathy has to offer. And so that's where we came from with the film. And like I said, homeopathy's given me so much back in my life that I felt I needed to return the favor.
Well, that was something that was really intriguing is for us in South Africa watching this movie, it was really incredibly put together from beginning to end. It was almost there was just this curiosity of what sparked the producers sort of interest in homeopathy, and so now, I mean, you answer that perfectly. Of course, if you're a homeopath, there is no greater inspiration. And what was really, really impactful, particularly for people who were not homeopaths, because fun, as you know, being a homeopath, we see these stories every day. We live these stories every day, and as amazing as each story is, um, it almost has become our norm, right? So
Absolutely. No question about it. Like you said, we live it every single day,
every
We see we
day,
see
every
miracles, we see miracles every single
every
day.
day.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that was really an interesting perspective, and perhaps maybe now knowing that you're a homeopath, maybe this question is kind of answered. But obviously, storytelling was really important in this approach of this particular movie. Um, how did you tackle that? How did you, as a homeopath, how did you funnel all of that experience and what we live every day into this beautiful compilation? Where did you even start to draw on that?
Well, like I said, I'm a practicing homeopath, and I've also done a tremendous amount of teaching. I mean, I've taught pretty much everywhere in Europe, in China, in Central and South America, all over North America. And I've done a lot of online teaching as well. And I did a 25-hour course in the history of homeopathy. So I had a lot
Oh,
of, yeah, I had a lot of resources, and I understood the history of homeopathy inside and out. And I'll tell you about some of our future projects in just a minute.
yes.
So I had a lot of that. And of course, I have a lot of clients that I work with as well. But what was amazing about this film is that everything that needed to come to us to make the film a reality came to us. I mean, it was like literally like divine intervention. I mean, just, the clients that we needed to film came to us. The stories that we needed came to us. I'm very well known here in North America. I oftentimes teach at the National Center for Homeopathy annual conference, so I have a lot of contacts. I've traveled all over the world. I know a lot of different practitioners and educators in the field of homeopathy, and so I had a lot of contacts in our community that really supported us. And actually, when we first unveiled the film at the Joint American Homeopathic Conference. It was like 3 years ago. I opened up this little piece of paper and I said, and the Academy Award for Best New Documentary Film is, and I said, well, I can't tell you that this film's going to win an Academy Award for Best New Documentary, but what I can tell you is that the homeopathic community deserves an Academy Award for coming together and supporting this project.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
and so,
Absolutely.
yeah, for me, this film it wasn't just my voice. It was really the collective voice of our entire
Yes.
community coming together and sharing what they felt was important for people to understand about homeopathy. And like Gabrielle Traub, you know Gabrielle Traub?
Yes, so she's a South African registered, or at
Yeah,
least she
yeah,
considered
she's a good friend. Actually, she's coming to visit me very soon. She lives in Southern California. I live in Northern California. She and her son are going to come up at the end of May, beginning of June, to spend a week with us and go to our peach farm,
Well,
things like that.
I
So
have to tell you the excitement when we saw on screen an MTech hum, which is our qualification. Can I tell you, it was just excitement. It was absolutely
there was
excitement.
cheering in the crowd.
It was electric. Just to see our qualification on a screen was really incredible.
So yeah, so she provided some cases for us, and then other individuals provided some cases, and like I said, it really everybody just came together, and it was really quite a remarkable experience. My film guy and I traveled around North America. He went to the UK. We had filming in Romania. So we traveled all over the place for a few years actually to collect all the footage and all the interviews. And
Wow. How many years in total would you say?
it was almost 3 years to make
Wow.
it from beginning to end.
Wow.
It was an interesting process. At one point, I invited a whole group of people to come to my home. I think there were about 10 or 12 individuals who were working together. We even had a private cook come so we wouldn't have to focus on preparing food. And she was just preparing all the food for us. She was a homeopath too, and she wanted to be, you could feel the excitement. It was tangible. And so she so much wanted to be
Absolutely.
involved that she actually
Yes.
came and volunteered her time to prepare food for us. And we would sit around. I had this one woman, Carol Boyce. Do you know Carol Boyce from the
I've
UK?
heard of her. I've never
So,
met
yeah,
her.
yes.
Yes.
So she's one of the co-directors of the film. So Julian
Yes.
Sheridan McKenna and Carol and myself were the directors. And she came and she lived in my home for a month, and we worked on it. So it
True
was
labor of love.
yeah, there was a lot of time and energy and effort that was put into it, but it was a joyful experience from beginning to
Yes.
end. We met wonderful people, had incredible experiences.
I think that that was very evident in the film. Is just that there was just this flow. It was just so all encompassing. It covers everything. Every element of what and how we want to explain and speak and share. I was interested in if there was a particular story because I mean, or each story was just so unique and just so human. I was wondering, is there a particular story that was impacted you deeply? Was there? I mean, I know it's difficult to say, but was there one of the stories that particularly for you was really impactful?
I mean, they're all quite impactful, obviously, but the one that made me cry, and I still cry when I watch it, is when the woman with the polycystic ovary disease,
Yes.
when she gets pregnant,
Yeah.
and you see the baby in utero,
Yes.
that brought tears to my eyes, and that to me is one of the most powerful scenes in the entire film. So, and I think that is a client of Gabrielle's actually. Is that
Yes, I think so.
yeah.
She does mention
Yeah.
that, but there is a particular change in her whole demeanor.
Yeah.
You know, she's speaking about it, and then she goes, and then that's when we fell pregnant, and it was just this.
Yeah.
I think everyone is really just sort of choked up at that point, but it was
Oh, yeah.
really,
But
really
I'll tell you, when we started filming her, just so you know, because we didn't start filming her before she was pregnant. She was already pregnant. We filmed her.
yes. Yes.
we had to actually hide the fact that she was pregnant in case some people wouldn't know. So there were little things that we had to do to manage the situation to make it work because,
We're gonna go and watch that movie again just to make sure we can see if you really did a good job. So she would have then obviously you would have been filming and she was pregnant,
yeah,
had
so
the
we had
baby,
to film
and
her
then
just from the top up with the earlier scenes and so you don't see that she's pregnant.
I'm
Yeah.
watching that movie again just to see if I can catch something. So tell me then, Kim, what is it that you hope that viewers are left feeling after watching the movie? What is your intention? What do you want people to be taking away from watching the movie?
Well, it's so unfortunate that more people don't know about homeopathy because it has so much to offer. And there's so many health problems that conventional medicine does not have answers for, but that homeopathy does have answers for. And we want people to know about that. That was really our objective. I didn't make this film for notoriety or to make money. I haven't made any money at all. I haven't paid myself for years now working on this project.
Yes.
Matter of fact, we've given away close to $400,000 worth of courses from Whole Health Now. If you go to our website, you see when you make donations on the website, you get actually something in exchange for that. You get a course by myself or Farouk Master or any of a number of different homeopathic practitioners out there. And so I've had to give away literally almost $400,000 worth of products. But we did it because, again, we wanted people to know about the value of homeopathy. I really believe that the measure of morality is what we do for this generation and what we do for the
Mm,
next generation. That we leave a better world than the one we inherited. And you can see that at the end of the film. That's a communication that's made.
absolutely.
And so,
Yes.
we're all mortal. We have a certain amount of time on this planet that we're going to live, and we should take whatever talents we have, and we should do something that's going to benefit other living beings. And so that was really the impetus for the film. And that's why we're continuing now because originally we had wanted to air the film on Netflix, but
Mm,
it's not really the right format for Netflix. Netflix is looking for these kind of polarizing elements, this dynamic tension where you've got skeptics and advocates arguing with each other and
yes.
fighting
Yes.
over a particular topic. And we didn't do that. We just talked about all of the amazing benefits that homeopathy has to confer. And so now we're working on another project called Investigating Homeopathy, uh,
Aha.
which is a pilot that we're going to submit to Netflix, which more closely approximates the type of format that they're looking for. And we're wanting them to fund a 10-part series that would run on
Wow.
Netflix, so like an entire season. And we think that that will have a tremendous amount of impact in terms of helping people to understand the value of
Absolutely.
homeopathy and really giving it greater recognition around the globe. So
Well,
that's the reason I'm
that was a
pregnant
lot
with.
of the questions. That was a lot of the questions that came up is, well, what now? What next?
Yeah,
Where do
so
we go from here?
So we're working on two projects. We're working on the investigating homeopathy pilot. I've got a whole focus group of about 20 individuals who come together on a weekly basis and we talk about it. And actually, we're going to show the very first iteration of it at the Joint American Homeopathic Conference on April 17th. It's going to be a Friday night for people who are in attendance to that conference. They'll have an opportunity to see it and provide feedback because we really want, again, this to be something that belongs to the entire homeopathic community.
Everyone.
I'm
Yes.
also concurrently working on another project, which is a Hollywood blockbuster film about Hahnemann's life. And I'm really excited about that. I've got two ladies that I'm working with who both written screenplays. One's written three screenplays about Hahnemann's life, and another one's written one screenplay. And we meet also on a weekly basis. We've also got Peter Morell working with us as well, giving us information and feedback on Hahnemann's life. But we're all very familiar with Hahnemann's life and the details of it. And so this film it's going to be amazing because it has everything. It's got political intrigue, it's got romance. The film actually opens at Hahnemann's bedside as he's passing on, as he's dying, with Melanie by his side, and he's giving her the injunction to carry on the good work of, practicing homeopathy. And she responds, but, I'm just a woman. I don't have a medical license. How can I do it? They'll vilify me. He says, it doesn't matter. You have to keep on helping the suffering poor because, she ran these clinics. And then the next scene, it's around Christmas time in Paris, and this young girl is running through the streets. Melanie's on trial. Melanie's on trial. And so then that's followed by a courtroom scene where Melanie's being interrogated. And this gives us the opportunity because the interrogator can say, well, homeopathy is a bunch of nonsense. It's garbage. It's, it's charlatanism. And you were a charlatan yourself, and Hahnemann had no integrity. And this allows us to revisit Hahnemann's entire life, to look at their relationship. She dressed as a man because at the time, women
Yes.
couldn't travel in Europe. So she dressed as a man, traveled to Cotton, met Hahnemann. They actually really did fall in love. She brought him back to Paris. He treated the wealthiest people in Europe, the Rothschilds and, Paganini, all these very famous people. And so it's going to be a blockbuster film. And I think that's going to really change the perception and understanding of homeopathy around the globe.
Well, that's something I'd never really thought of is I mean, because that was really something that came up is the people who watch it said, why isn't this on Netflix? This should be on Netflix. And so it's interesting to hear that it's obviously not that, they want that, they want the conflict. They want that extreme, one side to the other. And just such a lovely idea of going into Hanuman's life and really looking at that from that perspective. So then
Yeah, it's
Kim,
two
that's
separate it's two separate projects.
two
One is
separate things. Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
one is we're looking to create a 10-part series on Netflix. Each episode will be 45 to 50 minutes long, and we want to make a Hollywood blockbuster film. I have some clients
Incredible.
who've done really, really well with homeopathy. They're extremely wealthy. They've actually produced their own film that cost $35 million. And so I think I
Wow.
might get funding for that. We'll see. You never know with these things, but I'm hopeful that that will happen.
Yes.
And right now we're trying to raise the funds for the investigating homeopathy pilot. We're fairly close. We're about 20 or $30,000 short of what we need. So if anybody out there in South Africa has any discretionary funds that they would like to donate, they can go to introducinghomeopathy.com and you can make a donation and you actually get something in return. You get, like a
That's
course or
fabulous.
yeah. And even a small donation, a $30 donation, $50 donation, anything.
I think the point is that every little bit helps, and
Every
and the
little
more
bit helps. And the truth is,
that
if the hundreds of thousands of homeopaths that exist in the world all gave $10, we would have more than enough money to complete these projects. So, again, if you've got, whatever people can do, we really do need it to make this happen. We can't do it without the support of our professions,
sure.
our community.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I mean, for us as the HSA, this is the second time that we are, coming to you to say we want to screen this, and it certainly won't be the last. I think if we look in total, we've probably screened from the first and the second, probably just to about over 300 people. And so our goal is to support you in, getting this out to the public and to show the public this is where you go, click on this link, make the donation, and watch the movie because it really does support the producers. And I have to say that since we started on just in the lead up to World Homeopathy Week, we've had over 300 people, and this is South African public, not the people that we screened to, that actually reached out and said, we want the link to the film, which is really, really exciting. And another thing that's quite exciting is that we had one of our royal kings attend the screening on Friday,
Mm.
and he was absolutely blown away.
Yeah, that's great.
Someone he has his PhD in African leadership, and somebody who's really strong and firm in African tradition, and also because it really is an extension of that is African traditional medicine. What was really incredible for us is being able to show this movie to our brothers and sisters in African traditional medicine and for them to say, aha, we actually are the same. Our African traditional medicine also looks at the individual, also prescribes individual medicine. So immediately what your film has actually done is has actually given us a language. It's connected philosophies in a very, very basic sort of way. And it's actually helping us to join forces with African traditional practitioners. In South Africa, Kim, there was a research study that was published in 2023 that said that 80% of South Africans will first go to an African traditional practitioner before they will even consult an allopath. Before even considering it. And so the South African market is really ripe for homeopathy because our principles are the same and they do first consult complementary medicine before actually going alternative. So that was really exciting. And so what we did was we took the opportunity and we interviewed the people who attended the screening. So we'll be sharing that on our Facebook page and we'll certainly tag you and we could possibly cross-pollinate. And it was wonderful to hear what they were saying about the movie. So we'll be sharing that with you as well, because I think it might be an interesting perspective and perhaps one that you may not have seen. And I know that Jeremy Sher, obviously in South Africa, also contributed to the film, which was fantastic. This is just going to be interesting because it's African, people in healthcare who are also contributing. And I have to tell you something so interesting. We work with our Department of Health, and while homeopathy is regulated in South Africa and legally we can practice in South Africa, we aren't actually incorporated into our public healthcare. And this is something that we're trying to work towards. So one of the people from the district health came up to me and said, "And why haven't you submitted a proposal? Use this movie, submit the proposal to Department of Health. They all have to see this." So that was really, really, really incredible. And so I'm excited to share that with you because I think it may be a completely different
That's extremely
perspective.
exciting. And can I ask you a favor? Can you send me whatever testimonials you've received and
Absolutely.
also any photographs that you have that we could paste
Yes,
put up on our post on our
I'll do that. I'll do that for you. In fact, it might be easier if we exchange cell numbers, and we can perhaps maybe just any information or whatever that comes.
Are you on WhatsApp?
I am. So
Yeah,
I
but
can
I'd
share.
prefer you could if you could email me the photos, it'd be better
Sure.
for me. Yeah.
Just because of the quality. Sure, I'll do that straight after our chat.
Yeah.
So that was really interesting. And for me, what was really interesting was the king said that what he sees is that the pharmaceutical companies are getting rich while treating the symptoms, when actually, it's healthcare providers like the homeopaths, African traditional practitioners, which obviously he obviously defends, who treat the cause that are obviously being sidelined. So that was wonderful that an African leader could actually pinpoint that and say, you know, but and we didn't bring up the pharmaceutics at all. It was really just this is the movie, and then afterwards was, well, what was your experience of it, which was really, really incredible.
That's great.
So so that was one of the big asks after all of those little interviews, which I'll send you, was, well, what is next? So I'm really excited to hear that what is next is the series for Netflix and then the blockbuster on Hanuman's life. And perhaps you can keep us posted on that. But
Sure.
now this is my most important question.
You can go to introducinghomeopathy.com and sign up for our newsletter.
Yes,
And then
that'll be
you'll
fantastic.
be continuously updated in terms of what we're doing.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So this was my question. This was the biggest question. And what was really reassuring is that this is what most people say it is. How can we, as practitioners here in South Africa, as patients in South Africa, as researchers, academics, industry, what can we do to support you and what your whole team is doing? And how can we be part of this movement? What can we do to support you?
Well, there's a few things that can be done. One is, we're always looking for people to support us, volunteer their time, their energy, help us with social media endeavors and things of that nature. So if you have any people there who would like to get involved or would even like to be part of our focus group to be involved in terms of making suggestions and providing feedback, that's always very, very much welcome. We've had so many different volunteers. If you go to our website, you can see all the people who volunteered. And
Wow.
if you look at the credits at the end, it just goes on and on and on because there's so
Yes,
many people who were involved in the project.
yes,
And then,
yeah.
of course, financially, we really do need the financial support. This to make a film like this and to make these pilots and to make these Hollywood blockbuster films, it costs a lot of money. And like I said, I've been doing this now. It's actually closer to 4 years I've been working on this. I haven't paid myself a penny, and and it's taken a lot of time and energy and a lot of resources, and we've given away almost $400,000 worth of courses and other products, and it's just been it's been a wonderfully joyful, incredibly positive experience. And you know, it's also very, very time consuming, and we need the support, you know. So if people can help us, that's really what we could use. And they can help us either financially, they can help us with their time, with their energy, with their expertise. If people have interesting cases, we're planning during the Netflix series to actually travel to various parts of the world. You know, we want to travel to Germany, we want to go to Cothen, we want to go to Leipzig, you know, places where Hahnemann had a very major part to play. We want to go to India where homeopathy is, you know, so prevalent, where you've got, you know, I don't know, 400,000 homeopathic practitioners. And we want to go to other parts of the world where homeopathy is being used, like, for example, in South Africa. So these are all things ways that people can get involved in this project.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we have a community clinic that was started in KZN in KwaZulu-Natal. It's a province in South Africa, in a rural town called St. Lucia. Beautiful, beautiful town. And this clinic was started in 2017, and it started off open 1 week per month, and slowly but surely it's grown. So by the time we got to 2023, the demand was so big that the clinic was now open full time. And we've documented people traveling from between 100 to 300 kilometers away just to get to this clinic where homeopathy is obviously being offered. And it's within this week. We were hoping it would happen by World Homeopathy Day, but within this week we will hit 60,000 consultations offered
Hmm,
at that particular clinic. Um,
fantastic.
and as a result of the huge success of that community clinic, and us starting to work with our local departments of health in that region because they see the need for us. We've now used that blueprint and set up two other clinics, one in a province called Limpopo and another one in the Eastern Cape. The Eastern Cape is a province that has possibly, and I stand to be corrected, but possibly the worst healthcare, absolute dire situation. And so we've got these three little clinics, and we've got a couple of others. So in South Africa, we've got about 8 in total that are, community clinics where it's really just at the Kula clinic, I think it's 10 Rand to for a consultation, which I think if it's 20 Rand to the dollar, it's half a dollar, 50 cents for
Hmm,
them to get a consultation and medicine. So the people there are incredibly animated and incredibly willing to share their stories.
hmm,
I mean, we have a story that was documented of a woman who was brought in a wheelbarrow because her family just couldn't carry her the distance, and was treated at the Kula clinic, and a few days later walked back to the clinic for a follow-up.
hmm.
So this kind of stuff that is just really, really incredible. And so we would love for you to come here, and we could absolutely get you really incredible cases if that was what you wanted.
Yeah, yeah.
So we will do that, Kim. We will work to see how we can support you in that way, whether it is financially, we're going to see what we can do, and we'll see how we can assist with just getting your movie out there because it is absolutely worthy of everyone seeing it. And it's really created a really wonderful hype for us here in South Africa. So
Well, thank you for saying that. I appreciate it.
no, really, it has. And I think, we try every year to do something different for World Homeopathy Day. And we thought this year we weren't going to try and reinvent the wheel. We were going to use this movie and try and push it and plug it. So it is still what we're hoping to do for the rest of the week. And certainly we will continue to do so. But really, on behalf of the Homeopathic Association, on behalf of all of our members, on behalf of our students, and on behalf of our 2 institutions, of our 8 clinics, we want to say a resounding thank you for this incredible masterpiece. It was absolutely incredible. It's been wonderful for us to share with our patients, with colleagues and friends and family, and we can only imagine the sacrifice that has already gone into producing it. And we will support you all the way.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
All right. So thank you so much for your time.
Hold on.